Twitch chat, we're live. It's happening. Fogza, hello. Sorry for screaming at you. I tend to scream at people. Fogza! Anyone else who's out there? Oh my God, Ramanda, hello. It's good to see you. I hope everyone's doing well. If you don't know me, I'm Abbers. I play video games here on Twitch sometimes. I also interview other streamers about streaming sometimes. I'm going to introduce our guest today with a little clip. So here we go with that.
Uh-oh.
It's probing time.
Hell yeah. It's probing time.
Right there.
Nice. Yes, my
What number are we thinking of? 69, dudes!
You believed in me! I'm the one that does the farting around here, okay? Oh, that video was fun. My second edited video, which I didn't spend as much time on.
There's nothing like a fart compilation to really like get to know a person, I think.
Exactly.
Everybody welcome traumtikaani.
Hello.
How are you? You know what I'm realizing? I've only heard your name said by Abbers. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes,
The
it
traumtikaani?
is
Okay, cool.
traumtikaani, yes.
Love it. Well, welcome. I'm excited to get to know you and talk to you more.
I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Well, let's just jump into it. I actually, you know what? I forgot one more thing because I want to be able to actually see you while I talk to you. So 2 seconds, please. There's always something. I'm always like, yep, we got it. We're fully prepared. And then...
Oh, I know. I am forever troubleshooting on my stream. It is a common denominator every day.
Well, we were just talking about that, how anytime there's an OBS update, the OBS just decides like, yep, time to fuck with all your shit, which like, I don't know why, like you said, it's probably something on the back end, but in my mind, I'm like, y'all are just being mean to us and making us, figure it out for no reason.
I just need to start reading the patch notes and then things will come easier instead of just being angry. You know?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe I should do that. In my mind, I'm like, I don't understand it, but now I'm realizing I'm like, I probably haven't actually just like read it and focused on it,
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into it. Do you remember your first stream?
Oh, I do. It was, I believe, maybe June or July of 2021 or so, and I was playing Sinua's Sacrifice.
Okay.
Hellblade is what it's known by. It's basically a binaural crazy fight fest. You're like basically just trying to find your dead lover in hell and trying to save your soul in the process. It's very scary and a lot of fun.
Cool.
But my setup was nothing like, now it just looks like a green screen. Hey guys, welcome to my green screen.
I love your green room. Yeah, it's great.
I was just in my room and had my computer camera, and it wasn't anything spectacular.
Okay. Yeah. So if you go maybe like a month or like a few weeks like before that, like what led to your decision making of like, okay, I'm going to download OBS and I'm going to try this?
Well, I had been like on Twitch probably 6 months to a year before, like hanging out in people's rooms, seeing like how much creativity they were doing. And then I was like, well, I'm going to school for audio and I mostly want to like start learning how to edit and do things. And Twitch would be a great platform for that because there's so many different things you can use, and came across OBS and just started doing it from there.
Nice. That's great. You're in school for audio production then, did you say?
No, I went to a trade school called the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, and that was only a year long, and it was 5 different stages of like audio engineering. So
cool.
Yeah, just stuff that I'm continuing to learn. Audio wasn't the main reason why I went there. I want to actually do like either story editing or film editing. So
nice. Cool. Very cool. And you said that you had been on Twitch for a while kind of prior to that. and I also know that you're a mod. Was your experience on Twitch like more as a viewer before going live, or more as a mod, or like what was your relationship to Twitch, I guess, before you started
Oh,
streaming?
it was all viewer based. I
Okay.
mostly started in, I guess, just like everyone started using Twitch in 2020, when we all were just at home doing nothing. And a few of my friends sent me like a Twitch link for a DJ, and I was like, "What is this site? How have I never heard of it?
Yeah.
Is this just for musicians?" And that like kind of started the transition of me going to Twitch to listen to artists, and then came across a few streams. Abbers was one of the first streams I came across, and I was just like blown away. First of all, I love clowns and I love stand-up comedy. And the first stream I came across was him doing the sad clown and painting.
Oh,
And I was like, what
perfect.
is this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I started like going off of that and seeing what other things people are bringing to the platform instead of just music or gaming, because I'm not a big gamer. Even though I do play a lot of games, I'm not like professional or anything. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's I think a really unique story to find someone like Abbas who is very out of the box in terms of what is kind of like considered to be the
Yeah.
norm on a place like Twitch. So for that to be like one of your first experiences on Twitch is really unique, and I'm sure in so many ways informs like what you do and what you're interested in. Some people were asking me earlier this week. They're like, "Oh, like what kinds of streams does your guest this week do?" And I was like, I don't even know how exactly to describe traumtikaani. Like, I was like, you do a little bit of like everything, whether it's like gaming. You really do these like interesting things with your camera setup, which like now knowing about your history, like with going to trade school and everything, makes so much sense.
Yeah.
There's like karaoke. There's you just watching like B movies. Like it's really
Oh,
cool. Like
yes.
how would you describe your stream to people that don't know you?
I just say it's a variety stream. I do a plethora of things. It can be, like you said, karaoke, art, movies, showing off my VHS collection. Now I'm starting to build things on stream. It's just whatever I'm interested in. I'm trying to bring that to the forefront and just try to create a community out of people who are like minded and want to do similar things.
Cool. How do you decide what to do day to day, like knowing that you do have so many different interests that you want to share with people?
So I used to plan out my day. Like I had probably 6 different profiles for the week. So I do like Monday would be movies, Tuesday would be a bunch of things, games with viewers, going through different historical things, and then like FMV Wednesdays. Like I had it set up to where I would plan out every single thing, and then it just got to a point where I felt like I was either giving too much information or it just wasn't incorporating people enough that I kind of stopped doing that, switched back to like playing games or games with viewers or just things that can get more people interested. And I'm not sure if that's helped or hindered me online.
Yeah. Well, that leads to a really great question when we talk about like helped or hindered. Like helped what exactly online? Like
As far as viewership, people wanting to like be around, they find it interesting or come back at least. I think that's like the main thing that I've noticed with like switching up all the things that I've done from having like a planned production to just flying by the seat of my pants.
yeah.
Now it's more like people, besides like the main people that are always there, a few people will come in and say hi and then they'll never come back. And that's something I'm trying to figure out how to not continue to happen all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. This idea of like engagement, I think, and like you said, having like people that want to be there regardless of what you're doing or excited to see what you're going to do, knowing that it's different every time. Like I think that is risky. And not in a bad way, but I think that there are a lot of people on Twitch that like, at least I've experienced it. So I'm not exclusively a WoW streamer, but I really love World of Warcraft. So
Yeah.
I'm a variety streamer that plays World of Warcraft, right? And the most people that I ever get is when I'm playing World of Warcraft. Anytime I do
Yeah.
something different, I'm gonna have way fewer people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is, people are very much like, I think, creatures of habit, and also
Right.
they like what they like, and so sometimes that's you, the person, and whatever you create, they're on board with, and sometimes that's the game that you're playing or the movie that you're watching
Right.
or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a hard pill to swallow, because I don't think that, at least for me, like I don't want to put myself in a position where I feel like I have to do the same thing all the time for
Right.
the sake of engagement. But there is this kind of like question of like, well, what do I do with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
What is the story behind your screen name?
My screen name. So for a while, all I was doing was posting my VHS collection on Instagram and kept talking back and forth with a few people on like the name I should use because the name I had was not usable for a lot of things professionally. My name previously was Gorgasm. So, I mean,
Okay.
imagine like giving that to your boss and they're like, yeah, no, I'm never going to like look at your page, let alone probably hire you. So I changed it and, was talking to a few people and I told them like my one thing I've been studying the most and continually to go back to are dreams. So Traum in German is dream, and Tikaani is Inuit for wolf. And I love wolves. My spirit animal's a wolf, so
Okay.
just put them two together.
Interesting. And so, coming from two very different languages linguistically, do you speak German or Inuit? Like, how did you come to that?
So I'm still learning German. I took about 4 years altogether and I just started getting back into it. That's another element I just added to my stream as well. Having a lot of fun with that, laughing
Nice.
at myself, trying to figure out how to not confuse English with German a lot of times now because I've realized
Yeah.
that's the main issue. And as far as Inuit, I'm not Inuit at all. My friend is actually, and they're like
Okay.
telling me that that's what it meant. And their language. I was like, oh, cool. I've never even heard that before.
Nice. I mean, it rolls off the tongue really nicely. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting sounding. And now it's cool to know the meaning behind it because I had no idea. I couldn't have even. There's no way I could have guessed that. I tried learning German for a second. I speak Spanish.
Oh, nice.
But I tried learning German for a little bit. I want to go back to it because it's like a family heritage language for me.
Yeah.
Like, but it's one of those things, like you said, it's like just mixing up. Anytime my brain is like, what is the word for that? It'll grab for like Spanish or
Yes.
English instead of German. And it's like this whole languages are fascinating.
That's the issue I've been having. I realized if I'm like translating the sentence and it doesn't seem right, it's probably right. Like for some reason, I mean, obviously English is from German, so a lot of the things that you do here come from it. So I'm always just trying to stay in like the English realm when I'm learning it, which is hard to get out of, especially if you haven't
Yeah.
been learning language for a while.
Yeah. Not to like get off track. I'm fascinated by linguistics, but like it's really interesting because there are so many words that are similar and yet the grammar structure is so different. So
Yeah.
it's like and like the concept of like gender in German, like not even with regard to like sexuality and gender, but like
Yep.
gender within the language is like so weird and something I would
Yeah.
it would take me years to understand probably. It's
Yeah,
really
the
interesting.
articles. Yeah, the
Yes.
articles are what is gendered. So if it's including like present body and company, then it's like neutral, which is das. If it's a feminine word which ends in E or maybe like a T, it's D. And then for male or harder ending words, and there's probably other reasonings behind it, but those end in ER and it's dare. So it's dare D das.
See, thank you for helping me because I was like, is there a pattern or a rhyme or reason? And so like knowing that there's endings actually is very helpful.
Yeah.
So, all right, when I go back to German, I'll be thinking of you.
Oh yeah, that was the hardest part for me is like learning how to conjugate because it's
Yeah.
like, well, like you're saying everything is in the reverse order. So if you're, as I would say to you, like normally the ball is red, they would usually say the red ball or other things or put the verb before the noun or things like that. And it's just like, how can I remember this and not get super confused all the time?
Well, like sometimes like the verb is like ingratiated into the subject, right? Like this is something that is really funny about German is like you can end up getting these like ridiculously long words because you can just kind of like mush things together, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's really interesting. That's cool.
Or one word means like 5 different things. It's like, what?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, it's great. I love that. Well, I teach English to speakers of other languages in my like day job, so it's funny because certain students will ask, "What does this mean?" And I'm like, "Well, give me a full sentence because
Yeah,
it
I can tell
completely
you what
depends
it
on
means.
context, right?" Like, yeah, it's really interesting. That's cool. I love that you learn languages on stream. Yeah, it's just so cool to me. I love variety streamers who truly are variety in that they like you never really know what to expect. There's something about that to me is very intriguing, and so it's
Yes.
cool to know that you like are interested in and willing to do things like learn German on stream. Like that's fascinating.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun doing it, and it's cool seeing the people that do come in and are like, "Oh, hey, I can help you with this," or "Oh, I haven't taken German in so long." So it's cool to like reignite that in other people as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Have you thought of anything in terms of like going back to this engagement piece? Like, has there been anything that has helped you to, I guess, have retention with people that come in and say hi?
It depends on, I guess, what I'm doing. So if I'm watching movies, I'll turn on like TTS. So then when people talk, then I'll have more of a chance to respond to them and get alerted immediately if I'm not fully paying attention. If I'm like doing art or something, I'll like have a prediction of how long it might take me to finish it. Or if that's boring for people, I guess I'll try to do like a giveaway,
Okay.
depending on like how long the streams are. But oh my gosh, this makes me laugh so much. I try to do a giveaway, and some of the people who were there didn't want anything. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Classic. I love that. Oh, that's just too real. Of like, I'm trying
Well,
so hard to
I
give
want you
you
guys to have
something.
something.
Yeah, that's
We don't
great.
want what you have.
Oh, that sentence. It's too real. So you started in like summer of 2021, and
Yes.
then now you're an affiliate. What was that journey like from starting to getting affiliate?
So that took about, I want to say 6 to 7 months, and I was going pretty hard for it. I was online almost 4 months straight, 5 days a week. And that's when like the variety streaming started to kick up. When I was starting to plan stuff, I'd have specific days for things. And then weekends was a free for all. I would do stuff like do a night trap speed run or something, or just random karaoke night or games with viewers just to see if that would change things. And that did a little. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. You have some really cool emotes. Have you made those yourself? Do you have other people that have helped you with those?
Let me see. I'll pull them up really quick.
Do it.
For the most part, I've made them. The ones that are free. Let me get to my thing. I can't remember what they are. Yeah, so the free ones I made. The transfer ones I made.
Okay.
Literally all of them I made except for the John Krasinski shushing and
That one is really funny. Here,
and the
gonna-
Muttley,
I'm
the
gonna
Muttley
spam 'em.
Wheeze. Yeah,
The
those are the
Muttley
only two.
Wheeze. Oh, yeah. Okay. Out
Those
of
are the only
context, I was
two
like, the fuck is a Muttley Wheeze? Okay, got it. No, I understand. I understand things. Here we go.
Right. Yeah. And then I think the other ones you can't see. I'll throw one in there that I didn't create. It's The Witcher. R.I.P. Henry Cavill not being The Witcher anymore.
Okay. Yeah, so I feel like there's something about your emotes that like to me feel like in some ways you have to be in on the joke or you have to be like in on the reference. And I think in general actually someone who's so interested in like things like collecting VHS tapes and having like knowledge of and interest in these very kind of like niche movies and things, like I think it's really interesting to have such like strong interesting references because like I that's something that I think would really connect people. That's like, I get that too. Or have people be like, the fuck
What
is
the hell
this?
is this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. How have you like kind of decided what like
Some of the stuff has happened during stream.
Okay.
The one you see with the head moving, it's Wesley. Oh my gosh, I can't even say the names anymore because I mixed them up too much. So it's Wesley Snipes' head and Jake Gyllenhaal's body, and I did like a 69 celebration on June 9th.
Okay.
Because it's 69. So
Nice. Love
I
it.
put together that emote for it and like did a bunch of weird stuff, and it was fun.
Yeah, that's great. Love it. If you look at kind of your stream back then versus your stream now, you talked about equipment and your setup has completely changed. What are some other things that have kind of like changed from the beginning of your stream to what you do now?
Well, I did not know how much of a production it was using Twitch and OBS in general, because I started off with just one profile, one scene, one mic, one camera, and I thought it was the business, and then kept watching other people's streams, and I was like, how are people doing these like live
Yeah,
productions
man.
right now? And yeah, then learned about how you do all the overlays, started watching videos on how to Twitch stream, how to set everything up. And that really didn't help because a lot of them were for or Windows computers, and I have a Mac. So
Oh, you're streaming from Mac. Okay.
yeah. And
Interesting.
they're not great for streaming. They're great for audio.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and that's why I have it is for my school. So yeah, we've been dealing with those struggles. I have like two dongles because they don't have anything else but a USB-C port on the side of
Mm-hmm.
my MacBook Pro. So I have two dongles that have at least 6 different connections in them just to get things to work, just to give you like a little bit of how messy my stuff is.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, I stream from a PC, but like cable management is a nightmare.
Oh,
Like everything's a nightmare. Like
but yeah, sorry to answer your question. Didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
no,
It's
you're good.
changed. It's changed tremendously. I didn't have a green screen. I didn't have any sense of direction. I really wasn't even trying to stream that much. I just
Mm,
wanted to get out there and try to meet people with like the same common interests, whether it's music, movies, or anything else that I'm
yeah.
interested in.
By the way, tangent away. This is your time to tangent. So please don't apologize for that. That's great. Um, yeah, like I has your motivation or your kind of like inspiration to stream changed at all since you started?
Yeah, it's come in waves. Like I've been motivated to stream, and then I've been motivated to not stream, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what am I going to do today that's going to be as exciting as the next day? So, I mean, that's kind of something I'm also trying to break through that barrier. And it's mostly like a mental battle, I believe. There's
Mm,
nothing stopping me, there's nobody stopping me. It's just having that, I guess, confidence to know that what I'm doing is great and to continue doing it.
yeah. Yeah. And how do you do that? How do you get over that barrier and remind yourself that what you're doing is worthy of doing?
Something I'm still working on, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a hard thing to do.
It's a moving target. Yeah. I think it's really difficult. Is there anything that has helped you?
Uh, Music,
Okay.
creating, starting to edit more, I guess. Like I was saying, the video you guys saw was like the second time I've actually started to put my videos together, and it's a bit rough, but we're gonna get there.
Yeah. What do you use to edit?
Final Cut Pro.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then for audio things like so the when we're talking about editing, those are the first things you've edited from your Twitch content, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Are there
Yeah.
other things that you've edited in the past or for school that you're
There's
excited
some
about?
stuff I have edited for school that I need to go back and actually fix because there's like a few things that anything that you're doing when you submit it, obviously you go back and you're like, oh, well, I could have fixed this, I could have did that. Here are these things that can make it better. So those are a few things that I'm working on, and I'll probably share them once they're finished.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think editing and creating is so fascinating in terms of like, I mean, there's so much about it, but in this kind of editing process of like knowing when enough is enough and to leave it alone, knowing when you need to just put it out regardless of if it's good, and
Right.
knowing, like you said, when something is worthy of like going back to like maybe tweak and to be okay with it not being final, I guess, if that makes sense. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts on just like editing in general as a process?
I mean, I like it. If I don't really have a sense of direction, it can be difficult, but
Yeah.
more exciting in a sense because it's like, well, the world is my oyster. I could do whatever I want to this, but also, should I?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, what kind of things inspire you creatively?
That's a good question. What inspires me creatively?
Yeah, or even if it's like streamers or content creators that inspire you, or types of I don't know, media that inspire you.
I don't know. I haven't actually thought about that. I think when I'm inspired by stuff, it just happens. Like
Mm,
I don't know, I guess I'll give an example. Say a profile I've built. Like I usually start with a blank canvas. There's never any idea of what's going to happen. I'll probably think of an idea of maybe what I might want it to look like and then go from there and slowly build from it.
hmm.
I've never actually thought about where my inspiration is drawn from because it just happens.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, you talked a little bit about, the streams that you first saw on Twitch. Like, what kind of streams or streamers are you gravitated towards?
Ones that aren't predictable, to be honest.
Mm,
As I did mention Abba, like the fact that he never really had anything scheduled or planned, and like when you would go to his stream, you're like, well, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a stand-up comedy night? Is it going to be like a board game night? Is it going to be a type of media share? Like things like that, or musicians who not only put in like themselves into their stream, but their music. So then you not only get the music side, but part of themselves as well, which is really cool to see because a
yeah,
lot of people don't allow that because most people don't want strangers to be let in because people can't be trusted most of the time.
sure, sure. And are you a musician as well? Do you create music?
Not yet.
Okay, okay,
I'm a consumer.
okay.
I like to mess around with like the few things that I have, but I don't make music myself. I do sing sometimes, but I am nowhere near a great singer
Okay.
yet.
Okay. No, but I mean, being a music lover and being someone who's into audio, like you're a step away, but there's obviously only so much time in a day to do all of these different things that we want to do.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I think it's hard for creative people to like narrow down focus to making something when you do have like so many different interests. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you start a project and finish a project? Like what you're talking about, this idea of like sense of direction. Like when do
Yeah.
you know that like you have a sense of direction and it's something you want to like lean into and create?
I guess it depends on if there's something I'm trying to do. Like another aspect of the audio trade school is learning every aspect of music that I possibly can, minus like music theory, because that comes in its own time. So I
Hmm.
guess I would go from there in a sense that, sorry, I'm having a brain fart
No, you're
and a little
good.
nervous. um, yeah. Can you ask the question again? Sorry.
Oh man, I don't know. But I love what you're saying. Yeah, in music, needing to know music theory, but also allowing that to come naturally. So like, I guess, yeah, this idea of like just the creating process. And when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have an
okay.
idea, I guess it's a big question, first of all, so not your fault.
Yeah.
You're like, how the fuck do I answer this? But like, yeah, when you have a creative idea and then you actually like make it, like how do you know that it's an idea that you want to actually like bring into fruition, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I mean, I guess I get excited about it. I think along the lines of, well, if I'm getting excited about this, I'm sure other people are going to want to see something along these lines. So, how can I translate this to represent something that I want to do that doesn't seem like I'm taking it out of somebody's like back pocket that's already done this before, or
Mm,
copying somebody that's doing this all the time on their stream. So
yeah,
I kind of go from those aspects, like, well, if somebody comes to my channel, is it something that they're going to see on this person's channel or that person's channel? Because that's not what I want. I want it to be a completely new experience every time somebody comes. So then it's exciting for when they're here.
sure, yeah, yeah, definitely. And I also think that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah.
Um I'm always curious about this because this is a tough one for me. What is the line? Because it's a weird line to walk between being inspired by someone and ripping them off.
Yeah.
Like, because I do really believe that like your own human thumbprint doing the same thing, quote unquote, as someone else is going to still have some sort of like uniqueness that is you, like, because you can't completely replicate what someone else is doing, right? But like at the same time, like you said, I think we have, especially in this platform, such a desire to be an individual. So how do you navigate that? How do you walk that line?
Sorry, swallowing some water.
Oh, you're good. Do it. I'll swallow some coffee.
Um, I mean, I feel like everybody walks that line at this point in the world. There are no original ideas, and it's
Hmm.
unfortunate to say that. So I don't think there's ever a line anyone's crossing as far as ripping off, unless you are blatantly taking something that they've created and trying to make it yours.
Sure.
So as far as pulling inspiration from others and not ripping them off, Just as I mentioned, I like try to see what they're doing, see what I can do on my end that's similar but not exactly the same, because I feel like that's the most flattering thing anyone can do is take
Sure.
inspiration from another person.
Sure. Yeah. There's this saxophone player, Ornette Coleman, and he has a quote that I really love that he says, "We have to go beyond what we inherited," which I think
Hmm.
is really cool because it's like, in terms of jazz and like music in general, like you said, it's like there are no notes that haven't been played at this point in time, like right, but like there is something about like acknowledging what has come before you and what
Right.
inspires you, and then taking it to whatever the next kind of level is, whatever that means. And I think that means something different for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
What are some like takeaways or first impressions that you hope people get from your stream?
Takeaways that it's a positive, good vibe place,
Mm-hmm.
and what they get from it is just hopefully inspiration and wanting to be themselves and enjoying the community that I'm trying to create.
Yeah. What kind of community are you trying to create?
Just, a happy community where people can come and be themselves and enjoy the time that they're spending with each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what kind of people
As,
tend to like find you and become part of that community?
it's all kinds. I couldn't tell you like every single person that I've come
Sure.
across. But it's been a lot. It's been like from let's see, there's been people in there that are scientists, linguistic people as well, some musicians, gamers. I think there were a couple of massage therapists that have come through.
Okay.
It's been a different variety of people because I do like go from different types of streams as well. I don't just like stick in one category because I like a bunch of different things.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Do you ever have any like pressure, anxiety around streaming?
All the time.
All the time. Yeah,
All
yeah.
the time.
What is
uh,
that like? Like, where does that come from?
it's just something that I've always dealt with. I've always put pressure
Mm,
on myself to be better, to best myself, not be
mm,
better than anyone else, but just to best myself,
yeah,
no matter what I'm doing. And it's mostly like, I guess, trying to make sure the audio is great, making sure the videos look great, making sure that when somebody comes in, that there's no issues that they're going to have besides running into an ad, like
yeah,
just things of that nature.
yeah,
And that's mostly what takes up the stress is because I'm always troubleshooting. So if one thing doesn't go right, then it bothers me to the point where I might not even stream
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. I get that. Well, and so what I'm hearing is a lot of it is from like a technical standpoint. Is that
Yeah,
like the flow of
it
that?
can be. It can be technical, whether it's like my fault or something that hasn't been completely fixed on like the software's end.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I think that you are very like aspirational in terms of what you do technically because like you do have a lot of like interesting effects with your camera and your audio that you're doing at any given time, and you do have a lot of different scenes that you're working with. So like it makes sense that that's something that feels uh, cumbersome, I guess, because you're
Yeah.
doing a lot, you know, like that, and so it makes sense that there would be a lot of like technical issues that come with that too, and that there's a bigger learning curve, I guess, for someone like you that is really like going for it with regard to like being
Hmm.
very unique with your setup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's different for someone like me who can just be like, here's a video game, here's my face. Like, you know, like, which, not to like downplay what I do or whatever, but like
Oh,
very realistically, from a technical standpoint, there's a big difference in terms of like effort and necessity to tweak things and troubleshoot, like you say, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you run into any issues similar to that
All the
in
time.
OBS or?
All the time. I recently, and I don't know why, my stream has been crashing. And it's so funny because I my community is amazing and helped me buy a new computer, so I have this like incredible, ridiculous PC, and my stream's been crashing. I'm like, what? What are we? Why? Like, what's happening? I want to say it's an
Yeah.
OBS issue. But I don't know what it is in OBS. So there's stuff like that. And when I started streaming, I was streaming on a laptop that I had gotten for grad school. So I had gotten this laptop really to like type papers. It was not meant to be like a gaming laptop. and I was doing it on community Wi-Fi in my apartment complex. Yeah, so in terms of like that, then to now, like you said, the setup has changed completely, but that was always really tricky in terms of like my game setting have to be at the lowest graphic setting and having my output being at like the lowest
Right.
setting. So yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like I need to tweak, and like I do like to do like special event streams and stuff, and so I try to make different overlays and things for those.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think this podcast actually, like, it started out on the laptop setup that I was talking about. And my if you go back to early episodes, my camera freezes all the time. And we just go with it because the audio keeps going and it's fine.
Right.
And the guest's camera looks great. For whatever reason, mine is not having it. It's really funny. But in my mind, I'm like, it's a podcast. It's an audio medium, even though it's like, it
Right.
doesn't exist on like Spotify or iTunes, at least at this time. So yeah, the long story short, yes, definitely. Oh, and I also, just to talk about this, I have a 2 microphone setup, so I use my headset the overwhelming majority of the time, but I also have another mic for if I'm doing music streams, or
Okay.
I have a really goofy channel point redemption for ASMR where I'll do a parody but try to take it seriously ASMR thing. So sometimes switching between microphones will like upset OBS for whatever reason,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. So all the time. I think it's
Yeah.
something that like everyone messes with and deals with. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say anything you try to mess with when you're live, OBS doesn't like.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have a thing where for some reason, need to mess with my cameras every time I'm streaming, and then I get shut down because it's like,
Yeah.
well, we can't recalibrate when you're trying to fix something, and we're already like the system's already used to it running a certain
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah, totally. If you have multiple cameras, sometimes, because I don't run a multicam setup all that often. Every now and again, if I'm doing like art or something, then I'll have a separate cam to kind of show that. But inevitably, I'll have to like unplug it and like delete the source and like remake the source like while I'm
yeah,
streaming. It's just, yeah, one of those things. I don't know why. Um, Oh, and you talked about how there are days that kind of stuff will make it so that you just decide not to stream, or you
yeah,
um
it'll be like a day of me just working on something. So like, say I'm gonna stream at 2, I'll start messing with stuff at 10, and then it'll last until like 1. By that time, I'm like, I really have no gas left.
yeah,
I've spent all this time fixing something, and
yeah.
I don't want to like present any type of negativity when I'm streaming. So, because that's not like what I want to receive in return when people are there. I don't want
Hmm.
people to think that's the type of stream I'm trying to run, is me just being pissed off about nothing all the time.
Interesting. Do you yeah, okay, so it's interesting to me this idea of like if I'm upset and I'm struggling with something that I'll get that in return. Is there a possibility of you getting support in return rather than
Oh,
getting that
most
back?
definitely. I haven't had anyone like just be downright rude because I'm in a bad mood or something. It's
Yeah.
just I don't want to put those vibes out into the world, is what I mean.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, and I think that there's like a certain element of vulnerability with that too, that like might not be what you want in what you're putting out creatively, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah, that makes sense. Um, what are some maybe like aspects of your identity or culture or like just like your background that come into play when you're streaming?
Right now, mostly it's been the German. I am part German, so that was like one of the aspects that have come out.
Cool.
My love for movies, I think that's the biggest thing that has come out, like the VHS and just showing movies randomly, or trying to have rooms themed like that.
Hmm.
Sometimes before Halloween, that's what I was doing. Like each room was in a theme of a certain movie, and like most of the time no one knew it. A few people came in and would say stuff, but yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Cool. Yeah. Where did your love of movies start?
Oh boy, from my mom. uh the earliest the earliest memory I have is I remember screaming under a bed, and fast forward or rewind, I guess a few minutes earlier, because my mom tells the story all the time, and like when she tells it, it sounds alarming to people. But her, my uncle, and a bunch of people would watch Tales from the Crypt.
Mm.
So I guess every time she would watch it and the crypt keeper would jump out of the crypt, I would go running, screaming, and hiding. And that was like my first like memory of something scary.
Mhm.
And since then, I had like always like sneak and watch those types of movies with my mom, and then it just kind of led into that because my mom was just like, you know what, fine, watch these movies with me. I'd rather you watch them with me than with someone else. So that kind of just grew the obsession with not only movies but horror movies, and it led
Gotcha.
from there.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, because I didn't grow up with horror movies at all. I think it's something that my parents just weren't into. And
Yeah,
I'm so good at suspending disbelief that like I get scared easily. And like I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older. And there's, especially if it's like campy, if it's campy horror, I can get into it. And if it's more on the psychological kind of end, I can get
yeah,
into it. But like, yeah, it's fascinating to me people that are into horror movies because a lot of them it starts with childhood, like watching them
yeah.
as a kid, and I'm like, I remember, okay, this is like ridiculous. My sister had a big crush on Josh Hartnett. Do you remember this
Okay,
actor? He was
yes,
in Halloween H2O, which is
he was.
arguably one of the worst Halloween movies I've heard. I'm curious your
He's
take on
also
that.
also in this.
Hey, there you go. The faculty. Okay. Okay, so my sister and I, well, no, so my sister was watching it, and she's my older sister. So, of course, as little sister who's 5 years younger, I was like, I want to be cool and hang out with my older sister. And so I watch it with her, right? Um, and it terrified me. I must have been young. I don't even remember how old I
Yeah,
was. But it was one of those things where like I couldn't sleep that night. And we shared a room, and she's like, "Don't tell mom and dad. Like, don't tell mom and dad that like I let you watch this with me." And of course, I can't sleep, and I'm like crying, and my parents are like, "What happened?" And I was like, "We watched this movie, and it was terrible." So it's funny because it's like it's such a different experience than other people I know have with horror movies.
yeah.
That like that was one that was like this like ridiculous horror movie that I'm sure if I watched it now I'd be like, that's silly. Like traumatized me as a kid. What is it about the horror genre that you like? I mean, obviously there's like a nostalgia part of it, but what draws you to
um,
it?
that it's just such an open genre that you could do anything in the genre, and like there's no holds bar. There's different types of horror films. It's not just like gore, splatter. There's, like you mentioned, psychological. There's gothic type of Renaissance horror films. There's like all kinds of stuff, and it's just awesome to see how open-minded, how creative, and how not giving a fuck all these directors are. And that's like
Yeah.
why I love horror.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something
And the
very
community
irreverent about
too.
it. Yeah, talk about the community a little bit.
Well, everyone like in the horror community has always been super great. I mean, that you have in every community like the group of people who no one wants to be around, but like just like any group, they're great.
Yeah. 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 I think there is something about like solidarity between misfits and people that feel like they maybe like don't belong in the like what is the opposite of the counterculture? I guess in like pop culture, in like mainstream kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
world. So I can see that very much with horror people that it's like other people don't get it, but we get it. So we can connect on that and we can vibe on that, you know? And there's something really special about those kinds of spaces too, I think. Like, I
yeah,
think that when you talk about kind of the people that find you and also the people that you're interested in, I think it's other people that really like value uniqueness and irreverence and willingness to do the things that are different that people might not get. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. And there's something powerful about that, at least to me. Yeah, I don't know how I want to say this, but like lost it, train of thought gone. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, lost it, train of thought gone. Okay, so like being a collector of VHS tapes, that's one that like only recently came into my awareness that that was a thing that like people did, which is really silly. But it makes sense to me on some level that like it's kind of like collecting vinyl, although vinyl, a big part of why people collect it is the fidelity of the sound, right? What is it about collecting VHS tapes that's appealing to you?
There's a lot of tapes that were not transferred to DVD, Blu-ray. Just the fact that a lot of it was mostly made specifically for VHS is a cool thing. Also, I'm looking into getting into archiving.
Okay.
So that's another main thing for me. And I love movies so much, I want to save them so they don't get
Cool.
destroyed.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
a part of having VHS is being able to take care of them. So that's another thing too, is like learning the maintenance behind it. Because I have a bunch of movies that are in old cases where the metal lining has like worn away that it won't even go in the player.
Ooh, yeah.
So like the spools have to be replaced, or movies I bought from people that have mold on them and there's no way I'm going to play those until they get cleaned. So
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. Yeah, the idea of archiving is really cool. That's really neat in terms of like, it kind of goes back to our linguistics conversation actually, because
yeah,
that's something I've always been fascinated by is archiving and documenting like indigenous languages specifically that are dying out. Language death is something that has always fascinated me. And so this idea too of like, yeah, movie archives and movies that like truly like will be gone if someone doesn't archive them. So yeah, that's really
yeah,
neat. Um, yeah, I didn't think about that. One other thing too with VHS that I think is kind of cool is that another friend of mine who's also very much into horror collects VHSs, and they talk about how you have to watch it on an old TV. If you watch it on a new TV, it just like it doesn't work. Like there's something it does, but like visually it feels wrong. You know what I mean?
yeah, because the movies were made for like a certain aspect ratio,
Right.
and they mostly are 4:3. They can get pulled out, but you'll hear more pops, you'll hear more clicks, you'll hear more fuzz on newer TVs. The older ones were like the movies were made for those TVs because they were supposed to take out those little things. And
Yeah.
when you put on new TVs, it just amplifies all the things that are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. Um, that's cool. How do you choose which kind of movies you want to play when you're watching movies on Twitch?
Hmm. It depends. It like might go along with like the theme we have. So for mostly for Halloween, I had a Halloween movie list of movies that took places in houses. So
Okay.
that was like what we went through was a bunch of movies in houses, and then I had like my house set up to where I'd go to different scenes for specific parts of movies just to be silly and whatnot.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Being someone that has so many different like passions and hobbies and things like, because I've seen you, like I said, I've seen you playing movies, I've seen you playing video games, I've seen you doing karaoke, I've seen you do a cooking stream the other day. Um, do you have any like passions or hobbies outside of streaming that you kind of want to keep to yourself and keep private?
No, not really. I mean, I feel like overall I'm an open book. The only thing that's not known about me is my actual name, I think, online.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing I don't do online is go to concerts because you can't really stream them. So,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a big thing for me that I like to do, or go to any kind of haunted place. Those are
Okay.
things that I haven't really tried streaming, and a lot of those places are so old. Like, if you get Wi Fi, you're lucky. So,
Yeah, yeah. IRL speaking of like technical issues and stuff, that's like
yeah.
a whole other
Oh,
ball
gosh.
game, right? Um,
I've tried to step my foot in that, and I only have one phone, so that's like the main issue, because how are you going to like chat and like do stuff and on one screen, because especially with like Twitch, I believe it only has like the chat across it, so it's like hard for you to like even react with just like a normal phone if you're using the camera for it as well. So
Interesting. Yeah, I never.
on my end anyways.
No, that makes sense. I've never really thought about the like logistics of it because it feels like such a like far reach that I'm like no, I haven't even like explored
Yeah.
what that would be like. You know what I mean? But it's cool. It's cool when people do IRL. I do find it fascinating. Again, kind of from this like voyeuristic kind of like point of view of like ooh like what is this
What
person
are they
doing?
doing?
Where are they
Yeah.
going? Like this guy Floppy Jimmy. You know Floppy Jimmy?
Oh yes,
Um,
I know who the Flopsters is.
he's like what like 20 days into a subathon or whatever right now, and so it's like it's been really interesting like randomly seeing that like oh he's just like at Kroger buying groceries right
Right.
now
He's
because
just
he
living
like
his life.
yeah, because he has to, right? So like there's something about people that do the IRL thing that I think is really interesting because it's like you can be that guy and people will be like, yeah, we want to go to
Right.
the grocery store with you, and it's like that's content, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does content mean to you? Like what makes good content?
I think just someone being engaged and having like a good time. If they're enjoying themselves and it's bringing people in, it can be content. Or if you're going above and beyond, um, like I'll use someone on Twitch, like Sushi Dragon, like that. That's like
Yeah,
insane content.
yeah.
So I mean, that would be wonderful end goals for me, but that would take a long time.
Yeah. Well, you can, and like you've already said, like you can build upon it, right? Like
Yeah.
you clearly don't have to start with a warehouse and like, I have no idea how Sushi Dragon does what he does. It is wild.
Yeah.
If people don't know, he's this dude with like a warehouse and like a million
Oh my
cameras
gosh,
and
so crazy.
like remote controls and like filter it just you have to check him out because it's like I can't describe it because it's so fucking bizarre, but it's very cool, it's very neat like seeing people like him that just like Windbag is another one. Are you one of Windbag's mods or am I making that up?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
you're not making it up. Yeah.
Windbag is another one. It's like how do you do what you do? Like it's
Yeah,
wild.
he's got a full production, which is insane. He writes it all, does it all. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's very cool. Um, well, talking about modding, so you mod for a few different people. How did you get into being a mod on Twitch?
It just happened. Just from being in rooms all the time, from being super supportive. I would go out of my way, advertise for people. They didn't even need to ask. I just felt like people need to know about how awesome these people are. So let me start doing that. And then those streamers started to like notice the efforts that I was putting in to help lift them up and get them to where like they need to go. So they would ask if I want a mod. So that's
Yeah,
usually how it would happen.
cool. And what
Yeah.
is your experience like modding? Like what does
Um,
that look like?
It's different for every person, and especially on this platform, there aren't many rules besides what Twitch gives you, like just don't go against our terms of service. So, I mean, if um, usually one person is like one streamer will be different from the next. Some people want very limited mod engagement besides
Mm-hmm.
like if somebody's going off the walls, then yeah, deal with that. Some want you to like engage with like doing the polls, predictions, like getting viewers engaged and stuff. It just depends. For the most part, I've
Mm-hmm.
had a great time modding for everyone. Never really had to do much. I love giving people shout outs. It's fun.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, yeah. And then for yourself in terms of like modding your own stream, like how do you go about kind of like curating your space?
Um, I just hope people respect my rules, and that's about it. I mean, if they don't, then you get banned. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Have you ever had to deal with trolls or people that need
A
to be
few a
banned?
few times, and I felt bad banning them, but then I have to think to myself, like, would I go into somebody's room and act like that?
Yeah.
And if this was in person, would that react like would that interaction be this like nice? Probably not. So
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of things are like bannable offenses to you?
just people just ignoring what you're asking them not to do. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have any real rules besides like just don't be harassing and don't be disrespectful basically. And if it comes to that and I have to ask you multiple times, it's not really asking. If I have to tell you multiple times, then I'm just going to ban you.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I think sometimes people are afraid to ban people because of the numbers and the algorithms and that kind of pressure. But like to me, it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't want to be here, what is the point? You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
if someone
yeah.
is like making
Making it
me, yeah, making me feel bad, like I get out, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I don't need you here.
yeah.
Um, what is your relationship to like the numbers and the algorithm and all of that?
I don't think I really have a relationship with it because I'm still like a newer streamer. I have a very limited amount of followers so far. So if I were to sit there and worry about like my numbers, I think I'd go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, is it something that you pay attention to at all, or do you keep it like out of
I
sight, out of
do because
mind?
I like to see if there's any new engagement. I like to see if people actually like the emotes. That's why they've changed because before they were super scuffed. Like you would see like the background of what like used to be the image and like stuff like that. Like I just didn't care. So like those
Yeah.
things were like the small things that I fixed.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, Twitch chat. Now we're going to turn to you. If you have any questions for Connie, type them into chat, and we'll get to those in just a minute. Appreciate everyone hanging out. It's good to see everybody. Um,
Trying to look at the camera the right way.
you mentioned school. Are you still in school, or have you graduated out of that program?
No, I graduated. It was
Okay.
only a year trade school.
Okay, gotcha. And do you have a day job outside of Twitch?
As of right now, I just freelance audio and mostly Twitch.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Um, what are some things that maybe have surprised you since you started streaming?
Um, my tenacity, I guess. I
I like that.
am, and I realize I have no patience. I thought I had patience. And then streaming taught me I don't have any patience.
Can you elaborate on that? Yeah.
Yeah, because when I'm like ready to like stream, usually I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a great day. And like I mentioned, when I have like the tech issues, then it's just like, okay, now what's really gonna happen with my day? Is the day gonna actually be good? Should I stream or should I not? Things of
Yeah.
that nature.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. Tech issues just suck. Like there's no way around it. Tech issues just suck. And like it makes sense that it takes the wind out of your sails. Well, and you mentioned too earlier, you can kind of like get into a rabbit hole of fixing things or making things and tweaking things to this point where it's like, now I'm tired and I don't have the energy to stream. So like
Yeah.
that makes sense. Ramanda wants to know, Trom, what did you cook on your cooking stream?
Oh, I made a shepherd's pie. That took about It took 3 hours to make, and I laughed because it was a Gordon Ramsay recipe, and on there it doesn't give you actual food cooking times. It tells you just altogether 1 hour. It took me an hour just to do the prep and then like getting everything to make sure it was fully cooked. It doesn't tell you how long to cook the meat
Yeah.
on the stove.
Yeah.
It literally just tells you to make sure that the potatoes are boiled and to make sure that they're fluffy enough. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like I need times. So
That's
yeah, that was fun.
amazing. How did it turn out?
Pretty good. I think I cooked the meat too long because it was kind of squishy, and I didn't spice the meat as much as I should have because I
Okay.
was more worried about getting everything cooked.
Fair. That's understandable. Have you done any other cooking streams before, or is that the only one?
I think that's the only one I've done as far as cooking. I Yeah, I don't think I've done any other cooking streams. We did pumpkin carving,
Oh, that's fun.
and I think we made food, but it wasn't like really filmed.
Okay.
And most of the IRL stuff I've done, when Fogs and I took a vacation, we went to California and Portland. We filmed there. I think those are mostly the only IRLs I've been able to successfully do without things just completely shutting down.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Are cooking streams something you would want to do again in the future?
Yeah, I like them. It's just trying to get a nice angle on our kitchen is weird because we have like, I don't know if it's called the galley kitchen where it's separated, like
Okay.
stoves over here, sinks over here. So then like there's nowhere to set anything besides like what you're cooking. So
Gotcha.
like
Yeah.
having the camera somewhere is like kind of awkward. So you only get like my chest down because you see like the stove.
Yeah. 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 No, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's just there's so many logistics that go into all of these things. Let's see. Not a question, but Sable says, speaking of horror movies, I watched The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari for the first time last night.
Ooh.
Is that one that you're familiar with?
I am. I haven't seen it. I've heard a lot about it. It's a silent film, right?
I don't know. Sable, if you're still there, tell us about it. And then, yeah, Star Knuckle says about Josh Hartnett, he was also in The Faculty, which you
Yes,
showed us.
yes.
And he
He
says
was
that's
also
another
in
one. Oh, go ahead. I'm
He's
sorry.
also in a Penny Dreadful show about like the original Penny Dreadful stories that used to come out
Yeah,
back in
yeah.
the day. And I believe he plays the Wolfman
Oh,
in
okay.
Penny Dreadful.
I didn't realize that he did so much horror movies. That's really funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What are some of your favorites? What are some of your favorite horror movies?
Oh boy, it's a hard question because I like a lot of films.
Right.
But I'll just give two of the ones I always recommend to people or always watch: Hellraiser and Videodrome.
Okay. And what is it about those that you always recommend?
Um, Hellraiser is just ridiculous
Yeah.
and funny. I just think it's ridiculous and funny, and
Okay.
the whole concept of good and evil is just something that I've always liked in movies. So
Hmm.
it very much borders on that. Have you seen Hellraiser?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so see, how can I give a short description of this? So basically, there's this box called the Lament Configuration. That's a toy box that is made by the main guy, and anyone who uses it basically opens up a new universe, which is a universe to hell. And they basically go through a series of tests, but they don't really realize they're tests to see if they're worthy of not going to hell, I guess,
Ah,
if that
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right.
And then
Interesting.
Videodrome is about like a podcast, not podcast, a pirated um, movie or TV signal that someone gets a hold of and creates like a series of events in this person's life. I don't want to give it away. It's a really good movie. So.
Okay. All right. I'll put it on the list for sure.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one you mentioned?
Hellraiser?
Well, so Hellraiser, and then you mentioned one other.
Oh, Videodrome.
Okay, Videodrome. And what is
Yeah,
that one all
okay.
about?
Oh, that was the pirated movie. The
Oh, okay.
pirated
Gotcha, gotcha.
radio signal that they get.
I
I'll put the
see.
name in here.
Yeah, see, I'm such a like novice when
Sorry
it
for the
comes to
caps.
like, oh, you're good. How dare you to type in all caps in the chat. Yeah, I'm such a novice when it comes to the horror genre, like I said, because I get scared so easily. But I think I
I
need
do
to give
too.
myself more credit as an adult. I think I can handle more. I,
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's some movies out there that I just can't watch because they can be a little bit too much or a little traumatizing, and
Yeah,
I completely get that. I would never like recommend a movie to someone if they're like, I completely don't like this genre. Like, all right,
yeah,
it's not for you then.
that's fair. Yeah, yeah. Well, and speaking kind of along the same lines, in terms of video games that you like to stream, like what are you gravitated towards? What kind of games?
A mixture. It's not always horror games because they're always the freaking same. It's like either it's a walking simulator or I have to sneak and hide for hours. So
Mm,
I try to go between like fighting games. I'm starting to get into RPGs. I like puzzle games, mystery, trivia games.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Sometimes survival games, depending, like Fallout 4 and stuff like that. I like a
I saw
lot.
you playing Fallout the other day. That's one that's on my list. I feel like I would probably really like
Nice.
Fallout. So we'll see.
It's similar to WoW in the sense that you will get stuck playing the game for hours
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
want to put it down.
Yep. That those are the kind of games I love. Like Skyrim is another one I really love where it's
Yeah.
just like we're just here now. This is my life now.
Yep. We belong here.
Yep. Yep. Do you have any pre-stream or like post-stream rituals, things you do to get ready or things you do to wind down?
I'll usually play some music from this really awesome copyright free playlist I found on Spotify, and I'll just like have a normal background playing until I start. Usually when I leave, I haven't really had a ritual. I might start something, but I've been notorious to just end streams a lot of times because I just stream for a long time. I'll stream for like 12 hours to maybe like 16, not purposely, it just happens. And
Yeah.
I'm just usually like, okay, guys, I'm gonna go, and then end the stream.
Yeah. That's a long
So
time to stream. For sure. Like do you take breaks during your
oh
streams
yeah,
to like eat and yeah, all that?
yeah. Usually on a break, I'll like have some videos playing, whether they're like trailers of movies that we've talked about or other like funny things for people to watch while I take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. How I don't even know if this question makes sense, but like because you said you're like you don't even mean to. How do you get so lost in a stream that it becomes like
Well,
12 hours or
usually
16
if I
hours?
just end it like that, it's because there's nobody like in chat responding. So I'm usually
Okay.
like, hey guys, I'm gonna go. I'll like wait 5 minutes, like, okay, I'm leaving now. If no one says
Hmm.
anything, then I'm just gonna end it. If there's like one or two people talking, I'll raid out. Like, so
Yeah.
I don't want to just leave people there.
Yeah. And so when you're done with stream, what do you do after?
Um, either I'll watch something or possibly go for a walk or listen to music. Or if I'm really tired, I'll just pass out.
Yeah,
Just in
fair.
case.
Well, because you usually, although I've seen you stream kind of anytime, but usually you're pretty late night, right? Or
Yeah, it depends. Usually
okay,
after 6, and if
okay,
it's early, it's before like 9 a.m. sometimes.
okay, okay, got it. Yeah. Um, and do you find that depending on the time of day, like, do you have a certain crowd, or do you find that you get like different types of people depending on what time of day you stream?
It's different every time. It's never the same people. I feel like also I'm never like looking at who's in my room. Like that's
Yeah,
just something I don't do. I've never really like looked at the viewer list unless there's somebody in the room being like just blatantly rude for no reason. And I like will look to see who it is. But other than
yeah.
that, like no idea.
Okay, yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, Twitch chat, thank you for your questions. If you have any more, feel free to type them in. Um, traumtikaani, what is some advice you would give your younger streamer self?
My younger streamer self. Don't be too hard on yourself.
Hmm.
Uh, and never give up, even if you want to.
Yeah,
And if it seems too hard, just keep going.
like that, like that. Do you have any goals or projects coming up?
Some of the projects I have coming up are just working on my editing skills.
Okay.
Some goals, I guess, just trying to figure out, I guess, the next steps in not only my career but within Twitch and how to grow my channel and um, hopefully one day I'll be able to have a page where it's a live action full motion video game and that is the end goal.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, that's cool. Fun.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, with that, we'll kind of wind down, wrap things up here. I have a final 10 question questionnaire inspired by
Okay.
James Lipton, Bernard Pivot, and CJ the X. So this is just like kind of quick and dirty off the top of your head.
Okay.
Traumtikaani, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Which game or activity do you love to stream the most?
I would probably say the horror category if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
game or activity do you hate to stream the most?
Just chatting because I feel like I don't talk enough. That
Mm,
with just seeing it as just chatting, it puts more pressure on me to be like, okay, now I have to be more present. I have to like talk about more stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Honesty.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Let's see. Probably I'll just say it, dishonesty. I'll just be as
Yeah,
predictable as I can be.
sure. Yeah, why not? Which streamer would you like to meet most in real life?
Oh my goodness. There's so many. Do I have to pick one?
You can pick a few.
All right. It would be really awesome to meet Forest of Wires. Everything that he does on his channel is just like completely epic, down to his music, just his personality, everything. It'd just be cool to meet him.
Yeah.
Abba, of course, but I don't know if he'll ever leave his domicile to come meet a bunch of people.
Hmm.
It'd be awesome to meet you in person.
Yeah, especially since
Yeah,
geographically we're not too far from each other. So yeah,
right,
we can make that
exactly.
happen.
It'd be nice to meet Sushi Dragon, just like to ask him a bunch of questions, tech
Yeah,
wise, where he got his start, what like made him get to where he is, and yeah,
totally. Yeah, yeah. What's something you would like to try on stream but never have?
playing an instrument because I don't play instruments.
Okay.
I have a saxophone that I used to practice on, but a part of it is broken. I still haven't like fixed it, so maybe
Gotcha.
that's something I'll kind of start doing because Fogza and I have talked about doing more stuff musically because he is a musician and it'd be nice to like maybe make our own song or something because he can play piano and guitar. So
Cool.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What is something you would never want to do on stream?
Get naked.
Uh-huh. Why do you go live?
Just to bring this positive energy and joyfulness to the masses and hopefully inspire people to be good to each other.
Yeah. Follow-up question. Why do you really go live?
Why do I really go live? Because I like to entertain people.
Yeah. Yeah. Final question. You're on your deathbed. You know exactly how much
no.
time you have. Oh no. Very far in the future. You know exactly how much time you have. You have any and all resources available to you. Viewer count doesn't matter. Commercial viability doesn't matter. None of that matters. What do you do for your final stream on Earth?
Oh gosh. Well, by that time, we'll be able to have the ability to do a live action movie. So I'd probably have it set up for someone to make a live action horror movie and make me the final girl on my deathbed.
Yes, I love that. That's an amazing answer. Tron, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
for your candor. So lovely. If you're not following traumtikaani, fix that immediately. Do it. You gotta hang. You gotta hang. You just gotta hang because you never know what you're gonna get, and it's always delightful and it's always so cool. And yeah, I really appreciate you being here and giving us your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'd love to pass this off to somebody that you enjoy. Is there anybody online right now that you would like to raid?
Oh, let me see. Yes, actually, Crack Mother is online.
Love that name. Is it just
Yeah,
Crack Mother
uh,
altogether?
yep, one word. She usually does VHS fitness workouts.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Melody, thanks for being here. Chan, thanks for being
Melody!
here. Ramanda and Starknuckle and Jaylin and Denzi and Sable
Thank you
and
all.
Fogza. Thank you all for being here. If you like this, we do an episode of Why We Go Live basically every other week here, every other Sunday. You can also follow Why We Go Live on Instagram and Twitter and all that jazz. And if you are someone or you know someone that would be a good guest, you can send an email to whywegolive@gmail.com. Say hello to Crack Mother. Oh my God, I totally forgot. We need a raid message. Hold, please. Everyone, don't go anywhere. This is very important because we need Crack Mother to know that traumtikaani sent us, okay? So you're gonna spam this because that's what streamers do, right? Is they make people spam things. Oh my God, the struggle.
No, I meant to say I watched your interview with Sable, and I really liked it.
Oh,
And if
hey.
Sable's in the room, I just wanted to say I really liked your interview, and it was inspiring to hear all the stuff that you were talking about.
Aw, I love Sable. Sable's amazing. All right, guys, spam the thingy, copy the stuff. Love you all, and we'll see you next time, okay?
Thank you, guys.
Okay, love you, bye. See you, bye. Love you, bye. We're rating. And we're not love.